Hey guys, Nolar here, back with a interesting video. As you guys can see right here, I tweeted out today. I was at work, had about 15 minutes before my next appointment, and I was like, I'll just log in to play Dokkan. But like, brought out my Dokkan device, and I was like, I want to play. So, logged into Legends and started doing stuff. Look, I'm not here to just trash on Dokkan and like praise Legends or anything. I'm here to just point out the flaws that I think that Dokkan is experiencing right now. Lots of stuff going on, obviously, but we'll talk about that when I do a better overview. But I just want to say, like, this is the first time in a long time where I just didn't want to play the game. Like, I had the time, you know, because I'm busy, patience, life, you know, now 5-9 stuff, but like I had 15 minutes. I thought about logging in, grinding some links, doing some chain battle. Didn't care enough to do anything, you know. It was really weird. It's the first time this has ever happened to me, and I'm just trying to figure out why. So I put the tweet out there, and let's just dive into what people are talking about. Gacha Talks, of course, is gonna, you know, meet me a little bit and ask me if I'm gonna do some other content, you know, or adult-oriented content there. Probably not. And it seems like a lot of people kind of have this general, you know, laissez-faire, like, I don't really want to play. Nothing's really grasping me. Like here, Alex here saying 1331 straight days. Don't want to log in. Honestly, if they even take 5 times longer than Legends to, you know, load, yeah, that's also a thing too. I don't know. It's the general consensus here, and the one point I wanted to get to, so if I can find it here. It was that this is kind of like Toshi right now. I think the thing is, like, their release schedule is kind of what it is. Here it is. Gresh's tweet. Of course he raged with me. I got a... Oh no. Oh, he didn't. Okay, I guess I got more likes eventually. But in the beginning, he started raging with me. Here. I think this just highlights the problem of their celebration-based content scheduling model. You can't just release everything at once and have nothing to do for the next 3 weeks. Content needs to be more evenly distributed. Now, I 100% agree with this. However, this is the gacha model. So, as you guys know, I play a lot of other gacha games, and their thing is always tied around celebrations and, you know, like the release schedule is always tied around celebrations or some nexus point where they can attract new players or bring back old returning ones. So for Dokkan, this is their release schedule every, you know, in just a general month. Let's say this is the month of like April. Beginning of April / end of March is when they'll release a new Dokkan Fest unit. That banner lasts for 3 weeks, and it usually ties in a bunch of celebration stuff like a new story event or returning story event, I should say, at least for Dokkan. Obviously a new Dokkan Fest event because that new unit needs to awaken, so they always release an event, not a big deal. And then depending on what kind of banner it is, 2 weeks later there's an LR that drops, right? Or there's an easy A or an easy area, something else you can farm on alongside of that. And on top of that, you have Battlefield that refreshes every month, right? Beginning of the month, or like just, it happens every 28 days or so, 28, 30 days. They sometimes hold it back to time it with a like anniversary or a worldwide celebration or something akin to that. Now, that's basically all we get, you know? Unless it's a big celebration where they'll tie in a bunch of different things, that's essentially the content cycle, right? Every beginning of the month, there's a new Dokkan Fest. A couple weeks later, there's an LR potentially related to that. You know, Turles obviously proves that wrong because Turles is really random, but turns out it works really well with what they were releasing down the line, which is Bojack and all that stuff. I don't want to get too bogged down in the details, but they just release stuff right pretty much at the get-go. Stuff you can do in the game. Now, you got to remember that I am not their main audience. Remember, like, I'm a huge whale. So I spend quite a bit. I grind everything. So like Truth and I are on the same page where we spend a lot. We try to be completionists, get everything 100%. And so we spend a lot of time in the game. And on top of that, we're content creators. Truth pumps out way more content than I do because I work full time, and I just can't. I just don't have the energy to do all of that. But we're content creators, so we try to find avenues of things to explore in order to create content for people, right? So we are the exception, obviously, and not the rule. The rule for most gacha players, or just most players in general, is you're just a casual audience member who logs in once, twice a day. Do your dailies, burn some stamina or act, and then you log off. So from their vantage point, this content they release at the beginning of the banner or the beginning of the celebration is more than adequate for your average player. If you're not someone who grinds or is like super heavy into the community, like you know, you guys watching me or watching all the other Dokkan content creators, like you're heavily invested in the community because you're actively searching for videos, guides, entertainment, whatever the case may be. You're looking for that. You're not the average player that logs into Dokkan. You know what I mean? Let me give you an example. I used to have an editor, and he's still a good buddy of mine, but he had never played or heard anything about gachas or Dokkan. And when I had him edit a couple of those smoke table discussions, he started playing. But he literally logs in 3 times a day. Super busy guy. He's an editor, director, writer, all that stuff. But he logs in. He has fun. But his playtime is basically 30 minutes to an hour a day. While as a content creator, someone who's trying to do all the EZAs, all the link levels and all that stuff, I am on there a lot. 5-6 hours a day, recording content, trying to push that out and, you know, come up with new fresh ideas, team builds, guides, all that stuff. So for the content release, the thing is, it's fairly good for your average casual player. Now, you need to strike a balance between your average casual player and someone more like me, or a content creator, or someone who really thoroughly enjoys the game, spends stones to refresh stamina, to grind links, all that kind of stuff. So I complain, and a lot of us complain that there's not enough content. I get it. But again, you're not supposed to burn through everything in the first 2-3 days, which is what we do. Honestly speaking, like I had a race with who was there, Sunblade, Truth, and Hydros to see who can finish the EZA the fastest. I think Truth came first, I came second, and we did it in like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, right? When technically that should last you like 3-4 days. You know what I mean? So I understand that we are the exception and not the rule, but there are people who do grind this game a lot and care about it quite a bit, that burn through that need more content. And it needs to be more evenly distributed, because yeah, let's say it was every 4 days they drop something new and let me play with it. Yeah, I could burn it through 3-4 days, relax for a day or two, and then come back when something else drops. You know what I mean? Like that is where Garesh's point of it needs to be more evenly distributed. Like Battlefield should be the 3 days in from when like all the celebration stuff drops, or another story event drops, or farmable currency or whatever. I have a bunch of ideas, and I'll get into those, where they could, like, the content that I think they should be producing on a regular basis, however they want to distribute it is however they want to distribute it in terms of, you know, timing, so that we don't get burnt out, or there's just too not front loaded, right? Like the problem right now is Dokkan drops everything at once, lets you play around with it, and then wait till the next celebration comes around. And I think that's a problem with their schedule, is that there's a lot of dry periods, and we don't like that. We want to be like, the purpose of having a gacha game or a mobile game is you need to be connected 24/7, or they would like you to be connected 24/7. Any way they can keep you logged in all the time is their goal, because the longer you are logged into the game, the more likely you are to spend something, and that's ultimately they're a business. That's what they want. So for me, what I want to see out of them is not time gated. Okay, that's stupid, because that's artificially gating content just for the sake of time, and that works for an MMO, like games of service, in a way where they don't have necessarily whales to buy their advantage ahead. So that makes more sense in like, you know, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14, where you're like, oh, you got to play for 2 weeks to get this thing. It's similar to the Hercule, LR Hercule, where you just gotta, you can only buy so many medals a day. So you just gotta be diligent on that. Like, that's fine for that because it's free to play, not a big deal. But like the Legends model of like, oh, wait a week later till we open up stage 40. Like, no, I don't like that at all. Like, that's terrible. I like to, like, for Goresh and some of those guys, they just like to get it done at once. Just let them have that. What I'm saying is, let us do that, but just give us more bite-sized other things to do in the game. So, for example, here's what I would do in terms of content per release per month, right? Release banner or whatever. Is I would like to do a raid. A raid is basically infinite content for people who kind of enjoy that thing. Where for us, we haven't had a raid in over a year. I don't know why, but whatever. What it was you did in the, like, I think the last one was the Cell one, where you awoken or EZA the strength Super Saiyan 2 Gohan going from 120 to 140, right? But that was stages 1 through 30 or 50 to 100, something along those lines. Like the first, or was the first 30 stages or 50 stages where you got the medals to awaken that unit, right? And then after that, you got like some orbs from 50 to 100 and some other valuable things. And then after level 100, it just became training items. Like shirts. Wasn't huge, but hey, you got something. And the challenge was, can you beat this boss even if as strong as your team is? Can you make it towards the end? That is content unto itself, right? So that's a good thing. The chain battle, as much as I hate the mode, just because it's not very clear how you do well in that mode. It's a lot of trial and error, and you know, there's no clear, concise rules, and that's why I'm not a fan of it. But it is content because there's something to do. The chain battle is not consistent. Like last month, we had the Giant 8 Power one. This one we have the Space Traveling Warrior one. So if they were gonna keep this on a consistent schedule where every month we're gonna have something, sure, chain battle. But here's the thing: chain battle should run 3 days a week. That's at least my opinion. And maybe you need to reduce the reward structure so that, like, because right now it lasts for a week. You get 5 tries at least a day, and then whatever it takes to recharge the stam. But if they just open it up for 3 days with slight variations, I think that would be better. And again, they would have to restructure the rewards so that you're not getting a ton of them. It's more evenly distributed over like the month period. But I get excited for the first 2 days, maybe 3 days of chain battle, and before I get absolutely bored with it because I already hit my top score, and no matter what I do, the RNG is gonna screw me and I'm never gonna top my score, right? So to me, at least that's just how it feels. It's like every 3 days or every other week, have it for 3 days, 2 to 3 days, nothing super long, like a world tournament style. Just you do it for the first couple times, that's it, see what you get. That's my thing with chain battle. The other thing too is, like, when they release a Dokkan Fest unit, they always release they usually release an easy A or easy area. They absolutely need to release an easy A, like the way we know it. 30 stages, we get a stone every time, up to stage 30, and after that it's Zenny statues. They need to have that consistently because, one, it's part of our stone economy where the free-to-play players, they're banking on Battlefield stones. They're banking on the new Dokkan Fest event. I'll give them 1 stone. Maybe there's a new story event, so they'll get some extra stones out of that. And then if they factor in just a straight up easy A, do that. There are a ton of summonable units in this game that need an easy A. They're just completely outdated, not worth it, not usable whatsoever. So you can do like the 7 Battlefield ones with like Metal Cooler and those guys. You could run like 4 or 5 units that way. But I mean, now we have easy areas, which to me, they should have made that distinction of easy A's and easy areas, as easy A's is for summonable units. May not have to be Dokkan Fest exclusives, but they're just summonable units. You got to get them from the gacha. And then the easy A's are something that you can be farmed. They already mixed the line because the Super Saiyan 2's got easy areas, which suck. But again, easy areas are content still. Something you don't have to blow through in a day. Again, if you're a content creator, yeah, you should, because how else are you going to get some content out? But at the same time, for your casual player, 95% of the player base, they'll spend a week getting through the easy area. You know what I mean? Like, that's something to do. And my philosophy here is like, even if you overwhelm like a free-to-play player, their complaint should never be, I don't have enough to do, or the content feels too boring. If you have a lot of different varied content, they'll find something they enjoy. Some people only like to do easy areas, and some people only like to farm story mode or just free-to-play units. They don't care about the Dokkan Fest, they don't care about Super Battle Royale, they don't care about Legendary Goku events, trying to beat it with different teams or like handicaps. They just want to do it for fun. So if you give them a ton of options, I don't think there's an issue there. So just throwing that out there. Chain battle should be every consistent, but shorter time period more often. That's how I feel. And the categories need to be varied. Like, you can have a super strong categories of Namekians and then a weaker one of Earthlings, for example. Like, yeah, you can use Earthlings and get points, but it's not as good as if you had Namekians. The problem I feel the issue with Chain Battle is that it's becoming more and more restrictive on the units you could use, and therefore your scores just vary hugely between your attempts. And you don't want that to happen. You want to have some semblance of control, but even though it's like, oh, Earthlings only give me a 1.2 multiplier while Namekians give me 2 times, at least I'll have some Earthlings to work with, you know what I mean? So that's my thoughts on Chain Battle. There's so much more I could talk about. I've talked about how the mode's trash and all that stuff, but more often, shorter time periods, rewards got to reflect that. Battlefield once a month, I think that's okay. I don't see an issue changing that up. The raids, I think, should be important. And here's the other thing I want to talk about is, in aside to Chain Battle, like, everyone gets specific skill equips from that, right? Well, the other thing I want to say is, like, we've had specific events where they have skill equipped drops every day, but they're strictly for a specific category, like the Team Bardock ones that are just around all the time. We've had ones for Universe 6, and we've had ones for full, was it Giant 8 Power, or was it Giant 8 Power, or was it Shadow Dragon Saga? I can't remember which one of the two it was, where those specific skill equips dropped. But if you're introducing a new Dokkan Fest that, like Bojack, right, and he's leading Space Traveling Warriors, why don't we have a stage to drop specific skill equips for those guys, right? Just during this Dokkan Fest experience, like, hey, you even if you don't pull Bojack, you can still use this for your cooler, your strength cooler. You use it for your Elo Turles. Like, why can't we have skill equips like that once a day at the very minimum, right? Or, this is where I'm getting at, you could have that stage be a stamina sink, but because it's a stamina sink, it will have a higher chance to level up links for that category. So I want to level link 10 my Elo Turles. Hey, he's a Space Traveling Warrior. Let me run this event. It's 15, 20, whatever they want to do with it. Stamina run. And instead of just skill equip drops, they give me a currency, like the Chain Battle currency, for example, that's specific for Space Traveling Warriors or whatever the case may be, where I can get more skill equips for that category, right? Like, you don't have to do the once a day thing. Make me farm it. Like, that's content, right? Make me farm it where I can level up their links. Like, instead of a 1-time multiplier, it's like 1.5 or 2-time multiplier specifically for that category. And so I could run through all my units. If I want to be the completionist that I am, I'm going to farm the hell out of that with all my units into that category to link level 10 them if I cared about that. So that's another way you can alleviate the lack of content. I mean, everyone, like Gresh here said, link leveling is infinite content, right? But you need to give people incentive to do it. Me beating the hell out of nameless Cybermen left and right on 23.8 is not very good content. You know what I mean? It's just boring to me. But hey, I want to be the content creator that does link level 10s. I'm gonna grind the hell out of it if I feel like it. But if you give me and everybody else an incentive to do that, go ahead and do that. Now, this is where I'm going to tie everything together. And normally in a celebration, at least in Dokkan, we get missions. Sometimes we get missions, not all the time, but sometimes it's like, hey, clear use 300 stam, use 700 stam, use 1,000 stam in this 3-week, 4-week period celebration, right? Now, I mentioned this before on the 5-Night channel where we talked about monetization, but I don't see why they don't utilize those missions more in the form of a battle pass. One, it'll help them make money, which is obviously their end goal. But two, it gives them a reason to give you, or gives us a reason to grind things. So if you told me I needed to beat the Bojack stage 15 times or 16 times, 16 times, because that'll, for example, that'll give you all the medals to Dokkan Awaken, Bojack, and then Zangia, right? Even if I didn't pull them, if you said you do that and you gave me 2 stones and like some skill equip orbs, I'd still do it, even if I didn't pull them. You know what I mean? There needs to be more missions, but in the sense, if they want to monetize it, which I'm all for, as long as the monetization model isn't too bad, like it's not $50 for like 2 dragon stones. As long as it's fair, I think that makes sense. Like you look at Legends, and obviously they just got a battle pass system. They don't call it battle pass, but that's what it is, where they have specific missions and achievements for you to complete, and if you do complete them, you get these rewards, and they're fantastic rewards for the price that you pay for, but you just have to play the game. And Dokkan does that already by giving you specific missions every celebration. Sometimes it's very simple, sometimes they're very intricate, like year 2 or year 3, when we have to find the Barunga Dragon Balls. Like those are to me missions, right? Like, hey, do this stage without an item, or collect at least 8 physical orbs, or whatever little tacky thing well, it might seem tacky, but it makes you think like, oh, I need to complete this mission. How can I do it the best or most efficiently? Like then that's content I can tell you guys, like, hey, you take this team and this item and you'll complete 5 missions in 1 run. Be the most efficient. That's some content. Or if you're absolutely free to play and are J Fanta, it's like, well, this is my box, this is what I got to work with, this is how I'm going to complete the battle pass. You know what I mean? And essentially they've already set that up, the free part of the battle pass. It's just if they wanted to monetize that and give you a premium version, I think that would be kind of cool. Either way, it gives you an incentive to keep playing the game in different varying ways, other than, hey, just grind this out, or just finish the stage, or whatever the case may be. We, as content creators, artificially put those like handicaps or designs in place. Mass Ningen loves Super Battle Road with no items, same with Truth. Maybe they could make that a mission. I don't think so, because again, you gotta remember, if you're making these achievements and missions available, they need to be potentially done by 90% of the player base. No item runs is just not feasible, but it's more like only use 4 items in a Super Battle Road stage. Doesn't matter which stage, just only use 4 items. And then we've gone to a point, and the power creep has gone to a point where the original Super Battle Road stages can easily be done with less than 4 items, for example. So they can get very creative in having these missions and giving me an incentive to replay their content with different team builds. Like, to me, this game, the beauty of this game is team building. It's not clicking the bubbles and the super attacks are really pretty and they're nice to see, but after a time you get kind of bored of them and you just like move on. The beauty of this game is team building. It's like, how do I maximize this guy, or how do I use this support unit to maximize our other units, or this is a super defensive unit, so I'm gonna put him in all the attacks are. Let me put him in slot 1. Actually, all the attacks are in slot 3, but then I throw him off rotation. So like, there's a lot of in-depth, analysis to Dokkan outside of bubble popping and watching the pretty super attacks, right? Whatever can engage my critical thinking in that way that's why I love Dokkan. Do I put Gogeta in Gogeta where all the attacks are? Well, he hasn't supered yet, so there's like 6 units attacking. That might hurt me. But there might be a super attack which I might counter. So either way, like, there's so many ways they can engage our minds into playing the game. The same content over and over with different variables, that is still a content to us. Like, that's something for us to do. It's not boring. They just need to drop more of that. And then on top of that, they need to make it a consistent release of stuff to do. Because if you run out of it, that's, you know, you're just bored for 3 days. Do you log in? Like, some people just don't log in anymore. Anyways, I just, I thought I had to make this because, like, I'm not done with Dokkan. Like, I'm not. It's just, there's so much more potential that could be done that was starting to be realized in year 4. But this year 5 has just been so lackluster. Again, most of you don't know, they had a game director change last year in November. We're probably seeing that person's vision come to life. And I'm not a fan of it, personally speaking. They're taking away content, not giving us more. Like, I would like, again, to restate, I would rather quit because I can't do everything than say I just can't do anything. So, with that, you guys let me know in the comments down below. What do you think? Am I right? Do I feel like an idiot? You know, am I hitting the right spots in terms of, you know, this is probably what they need to do? You guys give me suggestions too, because, you know, this is a community I'd like to engage with and tell you guys, or hear your thoughts and see what your vantage points are. Because, again, I'm a content creator. I'm a whale. I look very differently at the game than someone who's like Jay Fander, who's absolutely free to play, you know, trying to maximize every little drop that they can get out of the game. So let me know in the comments below, guys. I'm done for tonight. And I'll catch you all next time, alright? Youre, out.